Alright, hey guys, I'm back on my Death Knight, and we are having another look at my add-ons. Here is another look at my screenshot of my Mage's UI. You can see several things we haven't spoken about. Let's see. The player HP and MP bar, the target frame, the cast bar. A little bit more that you cannot see at first sight, but if we go back to my Death Knight, you can see something on the right bottom. We're talking about a WeakAuras. We're talking about another called MoveIt, SharedMedia and Extra Bars. Let's start with the last one. Let's start with Extra Bars. You can see on the bottom right, like I just said, 4 bars. And these are just additional bars to your Blizzard bars. I'm using them for a specific reason, and I will show you that reason. We are opening Mask, going to Extra Bars, and just gonna go with Blizzard Modern, I think. This should be the default look of Blizzard bars. They should come in like that, if you haven't messed around with the global settings of Mask. And the thing is, I don't know if I actually have spoken about that in my Mask video, but if you go to the action bars and I just open up my action bar 6 and 7, for example, go back to Mask, you can see I have a global setting of Blizzard action bars to be the Xeroexe skin, and it does not apply to these bars, and it doesn't really look good in my eyes if I have like circle-ish buttons and then some square buttons. I don't want them there, so disabled those and just got new extra bars that work with Mask. So you go back to that, circ, and there we go. So extra bars, like I said, it just gives you additional bars, and you can just use them as normal bars. You could probably just drag it down there, open the settings of the bars, configure bars, and you could never tell that it's not an actual Blizzard bar, right? I can also go and you open the settings by going in this little tool icon, or you just go to your add-on settings menu, go extra bar 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this case, I moved number 4, and I can just decrease or increase the number of buttons, maybe make it a bit smaller for less important action bars. Let's say, for example, for the rune forging, I don't need the rune forge to be a big button. I don't know, maybe Path of Frost, something like that, or cannibalize my undead ability. Or you can probably, what I'm doing sometimes, going with the action bar in the top left, making it a bit bigger. Config bar, hide empty buttons, let's wait for that. And then I'm just put down them, for example, my professions, going with the mining journal, jewel crafting, cooking, maybe archaeology. Well, sometimes I'm going with the Hearthstone, just gonna put it down there, up there. Well, that should be action bar number 3, configure, no, hide empty buttons, and it just looks like that. Maybe even a bit bigger, because I don't need it down there. It's just like eventually I'm going up to the top left and press on this button. Obviously I have the advantage for bigger screen, but yeah, that's just something you can do with extra bars. There's nothing really more to say. So just gonna disable bar number 2 and 1, because I actually said everything about that. You can also make a vertical layout, or with that little thing you can adjust the number of buttons within the actual configuration without opening the option buttons, option menu. You get the hang of it. You know what I mean. So enable bar. Okay, that's about extra bars. So we're making a kind of bigger step into WeakAuras and MoveIt. Let's start with WeakAuras and SharedMedia. I'm not going into detail on how to actually work with WeakAuras and how to create a WeakAuras. I think everyone nowadays should know what WeakAuras is. Just a short a short explanation. You can do pretty much everything with it. You can do cooldowns, like cooldown overview. You can track buffs and debuffs on enemies. There's just so much to do. You're opening it by /WA, and you can see down there. I mean, it's currently loaded, even though I'm not on my warrior or my mage. I'm checking cooldowns of various spells and stuff. You just go to new aura, you can see progress bars, progress textures. You can do so much. Text, you can go with a custom text, for example. In my WeakAuras, I'm using the text to display my current HP. And yeah, there's just so much to do. Just one thing, I'm not an expert in WeakAuras. I'm playing around with it since like 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I'm just playing with it for my own cause. Like, it works for me. There are flaws with it, like replicating my UI, which we are about to do in a couple of minutes. There are flaws, especially with classes like Death Knight and Paladin, who have their own special power, like runes, holy power, maybe the soul shards from the of the warlock. There are flaws. You need to make like some sort of workaround, but I'll come to that in a minute. All right. The second thing we are talking about is shared media. Shared media is important if you want to replicate my bars. I'm just showing you the screenshot again. If you look closely, like the bars are kind of roundish, and that's not default with the with vanilla WeakAuras. So we need to use two add-ons called Shared Media and Shared Media Extended. Don't worry, like the last video, I will link the add-ons in the description of the video. Shared Media basically gives you more options in terms of bars, fonts, sounds, etc, etc. How can you use my WeakAuras? That's pretty simple. In the description there is a link to Virgo.io where I put down my WeakAuras. We're talking about HPMP, about my TargetFrame and the cast bar, and how to import them. If you open my WeakAuras on Virgo.io, you can see copy, import string, and basically you're just opening WeakAuras, go to import, paste your text in here, press import, and that's it. Then you should have something in, like, start with HPMP, something called HPMP player placeholder. I would recommend duplicating it instantly, so you have the default one. You can just mess around with it, create your own thing with it, etc. What I'm about to do is we're going to opening the edit mode and just like move all the stuff down there because it's irritating for now. We don't need that. We're gonna get rid of the player on the target frame and the cast bar in a moment. Back to WeakAuras. If you import the HPMP bar, it should look like that. And the first thing you should do is go to load, uncheck never, class and specialization, and tick the one for your class, or even better for your specializations of your class. Then you go down to resource, go to trigger, and change the power type to your corresponding power type of your class. In my case right now, it's runic power. Where is it? Runic power, because on default it's for mana. Well, if you're playing a priest or a mage, for example, you could just keep it, but I'm not using mana, so I'm just gonna go with runic power. If you want, you can change the color on display. Runic power, let's go with like a bluish color. And that should be it for now. If you press escape, you're back here. I'm just like placing a bit more upwards. And just to be seeing, it just should be showing you the runic power. There we go. Got 25, 45, 55, etc. I'm gonna remove my condition here on resource condition. whenever you are below 25% of your maximum power resource, the bar turns purple. We don't need that for really power. I'm using that for mana, for example. Okay, let's go with the next one. It will be the target frame. Again, you're gonna come with the placeholder, duplicate. Gonna rename it to DK, Donkey Kong, uncheck never, class specialization. I'm doing that because for different characters, I have different layouts, and sometimes I only need like 2 bars, so the target frame is a bit more lower or higher. And if you look at these, they're like pretty much all like everywhere. So I'm just gonna place it like there, so only my DK loads the target frame at this position. So let's go with that. Doesn't look that bad. I'm just gonna place it a bit higher again, because you can see the debuffs down there are actually a bit clipping into the upper bar. That's the target frame. There's nothing really more to add. Let me just explain you what it does display. It displays the target's level, the name, HP and percentage of HP, the resource. Then there's a cast bar, then some buffs and debuffs that are caused by the player. And on the right, the purple glowing thing is a buff of the target that can be stolen or purged. So if it's important for your class, you could keep it. In my case, for the DK, it's not really that important, so I open the target frame group, open the target auras, and there is the dynamic target debuff steal. Ignore the numbers, by the way, because whenever I duplicate something, it just like gets added up by 1. I'm gonna go with debuff steal. I'm just gonna delete it because I don't need it, and there we go. All right, the next thing would be the cast bar. Let's go down there. Cast bars again. You can see they're everywhere. Cast bar, placeholder, duplicate, DK, never, blah blah blah. Sometimes there might be something else checked. Just gonna look for that. All right. I'm gonna go to display, change the color to something DK worthy. Let's go with that. Like a dark red should be pretty fine. Okay. If you want to check the positions of all your frames, you can do that with the eyes. Let's go with cast DK. We are at target frame DK, HP MP DK, so we can just adjust all positions, putting it a bit more higher. All right, so if I mount, you can see the cast bar is working. But there's one thing now. You can see the cast bar is still on the top right. And oh yeah, we still got the player bar on the target frame, right? And the player frame and the target frame. We need to get rid of that. This is where the next tool comes in. MoveIt. MoveIt basically allows us to move everything on the Blizzard panel and changes different behaviors like the transparency, the position, scaling, etc, etc. So we will be opening MoveIt by /MIT. I would recommend to go on this page, create new profile, name it, press OK, press create, choose it in the list, activate, and then I guess reload it, and then you're here. We need to make a few things down here. Watch closely, type in PlayerFrame with a capital P and F, press OK, add frame. The same goes for target frame, capital T and F, OK, target frame. And then we got the player casting bar frame, OK, add frame. That's the things we need. Okay, what can we do with that? We can move around everything. You would say, yeah, dude, I can also do that with the edit mode, yeah? Yeah, you could. But can you also do this? I don't think so. You can resize it, etc, etc. But For us, there's something more important than like scaling or the alpha. It's actually the resizing. You can see the purple area. Like wherever I click on the purple area, if you remember what it was, I can open the target frame. But in my UI, only my player HP bar was clickable. So we're opening MoveIt again. We open WeakAuras again. So now we need to compare a few things. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's go there. We need to. Oh, I'm gonna placeholder. Hang on a second. Player DK. That should be fine. We need to adjust the purple area to the green area, right? So remember, I just told you about there are flaws in my WeakAuras. For example, for Death Knight, the runes are tied to the player frame. With the WeakAura script, I'm coming to that in a minute, we can hide the player on the target frame totally. We can't see them, but we can also not see the runes. If you want the runes to be shown, you need to work with another WeakAura. There are different ones on the WeakAuras. For example, I'm also playing around with my Paladin, and I'm using this Holy Power Tracker that does basically the same. Okay, so we have the position settings, width and height of my HP bar, and we got it for the player frame. So all we do is just like do the same. We got a width of 30, we got a height of 200. Yes, it might look a bit buggy and glitchy here. We're just gonna ignore that for a moment. And then we need to adjust the position. That looks pretty good. 210, let's make it even. Going a bit lower. Obviously keep in mind, if you're using a different resolution than I do, I am playing at 3440 times 1440. Your numbers here might differ. That looks pretty good so far. Like I said, we're just gonna ignore that for a moment. And now we will do the same with the target frame, because I also want the target to be clickable, right? First of all, it doesn't look that far off, doesn't it? I'm just gonna, if you wanted to make it a bit more easier, you can go to edit mode and put it down here, and you can see it's not that far off, right? But it doesn't look good. So we're opening MIT again. If the player frame is up here sometimes, ignore it for a moment, because if you reload the UI, it will be back down there. Alright, target frame. It's a bit big. That's what she said. So we're gonna go with the word. Let's go with 200. Or maybe 195. Yep, that's pretty good. Maybe a height of 55. That also doesn't look that bad. Let's just go with the 100. No, I think 55 was pretty good. Yeah. Reposition it a bit higher. Let's go with first of all, you want to check that the X offset is at 0. I'm sorry. The Y offset. No, I'm stupid. The X offset, because you wanted to have it in the center, right? 210. Nope. Let's go with 250. Not that bad. Minus 255. 53. 2. That's good. And if you have your offset at 0 and it just overlaps a bit there, you know that you haven't really centered your WeakAura target frame. Let's go back to DK. See, minus 6.67, 0, centered. If you go through MIT now, target frame, that's good. Now the last thing we need to do is get rid of the cast bar, right? That's just easy, hide frame, that's it, it's gone. Reload UI. And you can see it's down here. Like I said, it moved down there. So there is one more thing we need to do. I have a script that actually hides the player frame and the target frame. Basically, when the event player entering world triggers, which happens when you open up the game, when you load your UI, when you change worlds, basically whenever your UI gets loaded. And all it does is run this little code. Ignore the last line for a second, but it sets the target and the player frame's alpha, the transparency, to 0.01. It basically makes them invisible. Like, it actually triggered because I clicked on it, and you can't really see it, can you? Because it's still there. So just import this aura. I'm gonna reload the UI again. And there we go. See that? So again, the flaws down there, rune. That's nothing I can actually change. That's just something on the decay, but I mean, just don't click down there, right? And the same here, I can click wherever I want here. There's a casting, but the cast bar also works. And that's pretty much it. If I just compare to my Mage's UI again, sure, there are a few bars missing, because like this character's 58, I haven't really played with that in a long time. I just used it for showcase purposes. But that's the UI for now. There's one more thing, the font I'm using. I think I talked about it in the title pen video. It's the Nico SharedMedia add-on. I just like the font of it. So yeah, that should be it. I hope I could help you guys with the UI. If you got any feedback or something or questions, just ask me rather here or on my Reddit post. If you want me to have a look into different add-ons, I mean, I got a few more. If you just look at my add-on list, I have more add-ons I can talk about, and these are just like the ones I've actually installed. I'm playing WoW for quite a long time. I stumble upon many different add-ons. I can talk about everything. I can also talk about like creating basic WeakAuras, for example, cooldown tracking, buff tracking, etc. Just like simple stuff. Just let me know in the comments. Like I said, rather here on my Reddit post, I can make a video about that. So yeah, I'll see you around. Thanks for stopping by, and have a nice evening, or day, or morning. Bye bye.